Hello, hello. Let's give this a moment. Let people begin to jump on. There we go. Hello, hello, and welcome. Let's see if we can make these comments work. Let me know that you are here. If you're watching the replay, if you are jumping on live, if you are watching the replay on YouTube, let me know you're here. Go ahead and say hello. And let's see. No, they're getting stuck again for us. Let's see if we can fix it. And does this work for us? That should do it. And if you're watching the replay, we'll give it a couple more moments. Maybe start at about a minute. And we'll go together. Okay. I think the comments are working. We'll see. All right. If you're jumping on and I don't reply, then it means they're not working in live time and I can't see them yet. Okay, I want to talk about emotions. So a couple weeks ago, I was at an event and I was a speaker there for an event called She Speaks. And it was kind of a TEDx style talk. And in that talk, I was talking about the Aligned Human Project. And at the end, we had a Q&A. And it was open. We had all of us as speakers there, so there were 9 of us, and people could ask any questions. And a person asked at the end about anxiety, how to support somebody with anxiety. And people answered, had great answers, different kind of outlooks on the emotions and things that could be done. And I felt an incredible push or nudge, I would call it, that I compelled. Like there was no way I couldn't answer the question. And so even though we were finished and we were about to close down, I stopped Pauline, who was moderating, and just said, "Can I please answer that question?" And she was like, and Chrissy gave us the go ahead because the time was over, and I did. And so in that answer, what I came with was for me not simple but simple. And so 8.5 years ago now, I was in 2 car accidents, 6 days apart, traumatic brain injury, nervous system dysregulation. Basis of the story. When I was first hurt, I would have anxiety and these experiences, but I was so dysregulated, I couldn't tell what was going on in my body. And about probably close to a year in, we moved into our main house. We'd been in the middle of building a house when I got hurt. And so when we moved into our house, I remember I was starting to have panic attacks. And I would have panic attacks like if I went to where I used to work, if I went to the job site, or if I went to not job site, but to my old business. I would have them when I woke up in the morning, and they were debilitating, and they would be so bad that I would end up vomiting from them. And I thought I was having heart attacks. I didn't actually know what a panic attack was. And so I went to my doctor and I'm like, I think I'm having heart issues, and she checked over and she's like, "Nope, you're having panic attacks." And I remember I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "The world's unsafe to you." I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because the world's not safe." And I asked her to fix it. I was very Western driven at the time, and I'm like, "Fix it. I'm not living like this, so fix it. Like, there's got to be a drug, there's going to be something you can do, fix the problem." And she said, "No, you got to fix it." And she was an incredible doctor, but still, what she's doing now is awesome for her, but it breaks my heart for everybody else that she's not a GP anymore. And she said, she gave me the tool of sitting with my emotion. And anybody who's had a debilitating panic attack or anxiety attack knows that the idea of sitting with that is horrific. And so she said, "Here's what you're going to do." We had a session with each other every single week. It was just part of going through the things with having a brain injury. And so she said, "When you come in next week, I want you, when you wake up tomorrow morning and you have anxiety or panic, I want you to lay with it And I don't want you to justify it or make excuses for it or try to figure out why it's there. What I want you to do is I want you to lay with it, stay in bed. You're not allowed to get up until it passes. And I want you to tell me what it tastes like, what it smells like, what color is it, what shape is it, what's its texture, what's its temperature. Does it move from left to right, right to left, front to back, up and down? Where in your body is it? And I want you to tell me all of the things about it in such great detail that I could paint it afterwards. So describe the emotion as if you're describing the assailant to a sketch artist or to a police artist. And I said, you want me to lay in bed with this emotion? And she said, yes. And I said, quote unquote, excuse the language, go fuck yourself. And she said, great. So I'll see you next week and you're going to tell me all about panic. Oh, and I want to know what emotion is underneath it. And I'm like, no, like you need to fix this. And she's like, you've got this. And she guided me out the door and that was the end of it. So the next morning I laid there because I had no other option. And I laid with panic. And it was well over 20 minutes and I was violently ill afterwards. The second day, I laid there with it and I didn't puke, but it seemed to last, it felt like forever. And she's like, and time them. And so by the end of the first week when I went into the appointment with her, we were down to 5 minutes. And after the second week, we were down to 2. And it was the first time in my life that I had realized I am not my emotions. I am the one that's experiencing them. I was blessed because this would lead very quickly into me doing Course in Miracles, which is my first I woke up one day and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to do Course in Miracles. And I picked up the book and started doing 365 days. I'd owned it for years and never touched it. It looked like a Bible, same paper, freaked me out, wouldn't go near it. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I need to do this. At the time, my eyes were janky. I couldn't see. I couldn't read. My husband's like, how are you going to read A Course in Miracles? Tiny little print like a Bible. And I'm like, I don't know. I just know I need to do it. And I'd bought in the full version, so it has 365 days, the workbook in it. And so day 1 is you are not what you think you are. And we would go into this journey of emotions, into this journey of understanding you are not your body. You are the one that's aware of your body. You are the one that has been in your body this whole time. You're the one that was in your body when you were an infant, when you explored your toes and taste for the first time. You're the one that was in your body when you went through, changes in your life, through hormonal changes, male and female. You're the one that was in your body at 10, at 20, at having babies, going through midlife, wherever you're at now. Same one. You weren't a different person, wasn't in that body. You are. Who was there when you were 5? You were. And so all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm not my body. And when you're in a lot of pain, it is an incredible experience. So when I had the head injury, I had nervous system dysregulation. I couldn't handle sight or light. I couldn't handle sound, and I couldn't handle movement. My home became my only sanctuary. And sound was like really particular for me, or touch. I suddenly couldn't handle certain materials on my skin. I had severe whiplash. And my neck was spasmed out. I had spine issues and injuries that nobody had realized, and pelvis injuries. And constant extreme pain. Crazy migraines. And all of a sudden you're sitting there in a meditation just breathing, and somebody's telling you to breathe into the discomfort. And as you breathe into pain, it starts to shift and change. And you realize that pain's not static, and you are not your pain. You are the one that's simply experiencing a body that is experiencing pain. And there's distance. And so instead of dissociating, which I'd learned my whole life how to do, how to dissociate from my body and have nothing to do with any of the things that were going on with it, all of a sudden I'm completely in my body, but detached. So now I'm in a seat of witness. And going through was first the emotions with her, and then the meditation and learning meditation from actually a neurologist, and learning how to breathe into pain, and all of a sudden realizing you can control pain with breath. It's just most of us don't want to deal with it at all, so we just want it to go away. And so then we go into it and it's like, well, now, like, are you your anger? I am angry. I was known for my temper. No. You are the one that experiences anger. Anger rises and anger falls. It's meant to be experienced. And just like each of us, our emotions, our thoughts, our beliefs, those aspects of our mind want to be witnessed and experienced. They want to be acknowledged, just like you and I want to be seen and want to be heard. So do they. They're energy in motion. It's part of creation. And we've labeled them good or bad, and then we either cling to them because we love them, or we're pushing them away because we dislike them. Or we're pushing them down because we don't want to acknowledge that we feel them at all. Because what does that say about us? Such as emotions like envy or rage or jealousy. And so we don't stay with the emotion. And so in many practices, Buddhism, one of them, there's this concept of making friends with our emotions. And so the day that my doctor asked me to lay down and be in bed with panic, with anxiety, was a day where all of a sudden it just got to start becoming like, oh, there's the experience of anxiety. And when anxiety leaves, and it does every time, what's beneath it? And maybe what was underneath it was worry or confusion. What am I supposed to do with my life now that I don't have a job to go to? You know, what was my purpose? That's what was underneath all of that, was fear. And so once we see that, it's like, oh, I just don't know what to do now. And it's like, okay, well, get up and go make a coffee. Go do some yoga. Go read A Course in Miracles. And there's things to do. They're just not the things you've always done. And that's okay. And so as I made friends with my emotions, what I didn't realize is I was being given a practice of becoming the witness. And it's one of the most powerful practices that we can have. In the laws of field and form, the second law is the law of power. Power equals presence. No, third law. Power equals presence. And so in that law is we get really present. We sit with our emotions. And so what I consider it like, because I like a visual, it just helps me understand the practice so that it's not so nebulous. The practice, I call it, is sitting on the bus. If you've ever been on a bus of any type, you get on a bus and in this case, we're going to sit down. And so we sit down in our seat, and say we like the aisle seat because it allows us to have freedom. We can get off when we need to. And so we sit down. There's only one place on a bus, and we sit down, and there's this sketchy person beside us, and we don't love anything about that. And so we just ignore them. We just pretend like they're not there. And sitting beside us is anxiety. And we are just like putting earbuds in, and you're like, you know, like, oh, sorry, I can't hear you, can't talk to you. And we just like stay there. And meanwhile, anxiety is like, excuse me, it's my stop. I need to get off here. And we're just like intense, and we're not doing this, and we're like scrolling on our phone, and we're pretending like it's not there. How's that working out for us? Meanwhile, it's been trying to get off the bus since the first stop. An emotion, scientifically proven over and over again, has a lifespan of 90 seconds if we do not attach a thought. If we do not give it a reason to be there. It's just an emotion, energy in motion, that your intellect, our brains have decided is bad. Dislike. This is the meaning of pain is inevitable and suffering is optional. We're going to experience pain. We're going to experience anxiety, panic, rage, discomfort, envy, all the uncomfortable emotions. We're going to have uncomfortable thoughts and beliefs. Pain. Suffering is what happens when we don't let it off the bus. All you had to do was stay present Oh, nice to meet you. If they were like a wanted person, could you give that sketch artist a description so that they could be captured? Take a moment, be present. Just be present with yourself. You're worth the effort, I promise you. You are a divine being. And whether that emotion is anxiety, whether that emotion is rage, disappointment, resentment, bitterness, all the things that we do not want to link to ourselves, it's okay. It's just an emotion of bitterness. And maybe while you sit with bitterness and it gives you the story, instead of getting involved in its story, you just let bitterness go. And in that moment, you get the release. The person that the bitterness is linked to is long gone. Can you let it go? Of course you can. You're fully capable. We all are. We just weren't taught how to sit with our emotions. We get told this is uncomfortable and I want it to go away. Or now we have an even bigger problem, in my opinion, which is we stay and we identify with it. We're a team. We come together. Hi, I'm Dawn, and this is anxiety, and we're one. I'm Dawn. I have anxiety. In my pocket, not truthful. Not truthful. I'm Dawn, and I experience anxiety. I experience fear. I experience loneliness. I experience these things. I experience the emotions of worthlessness. These are all ones that I've sat with and worked through over and over these last years. Last summer was an entire summer of purposely triggering myself. Purposely. Every day I asked for it. I brain dump. That's how we do this. You brain dump, you write, this morning I'm feeling anxious. What color is it? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? And all of a sudden it starts moving. You're like writing it down, giving the description for the police artist. Sit there, write it down with it. Stay present with it. Maybe you don't like lying in bed. Maybe that feels too intimate. Just lay there, sit with it. What does it taste like? What does it smell? What does resentment smell like? Be fascinating for you. What color is it? What shape is it? Where does it sit in your body? Does it stay in one place or does it move? Because even its movement will tell you some information. And so as I was sitting through this last year, it was every morning I would brain dump and I would say, what is stopping me from me? I was asking for self-realization, to disentangle my ego with my spirit. What is interfering with my ability to have self-realization? What is interfering with my ability to ascend? And I would write it every day. What's interfering? What stops me? Show me. What do I need to let go of today? And almost every day I was triggered. And it was like to a point that Mike actually asked me to please stop because he was getting really tired of watching his wife cry a lot. And we went through this all the way through my 50th birthday. Not because anybody did anything wrong. They just bumped into an old wound. A wound that I'd never fully processed and identified as part of my story, which is all our subconscious mind is. Who you are is source, your spirit, your pure potential. That is the answer. Who are you? You are light. You are God, incarnated, in form, beautiful. What you are is your past experiences. We would call it the subconscious mind, ego, intellect. It's what you are. It's all of the experiences up until this moment. And in this moment, what you are, what I am is a white heterosexual female that's 50 years old. I'm going to a whole list of it. A mom of 2, a wife, been married 3 times. I mean, the whole story, what I am. What you do is up to you. And if we're acting from the subconscious mind, then what we're doing is we're acting from our wounds from our past. And we're reliving them over and over and over. I am not depression, but I am a person who has experienced it. I'm not anxiety or anxious. am a person that has experienced it. And that is an emotion that does come up and greet me quite often. People just don't know it. I sit with it. I write on it. We talk it through. Is there something you're trying to get me to be aware of? How come you feel unsafe right now? Here's a good question to ask ourselves that we rarely do. Why do you feel unsafe right now? Because it's letting you know that your nervous system is feeling unsettled. What's out there? What's up? Are you here? Are you present? And so we move through these pieces and trigger after trigger after trigger last summer until finally we got to the piece that was underneath all of it. It's not safe to ask for help. I have a lot of them. And they came up. My husband was just like, what is going on? And I'd write them down and I'd text them to my coach and we'd work through them and talk them all the way through and then wind the stories. And finally we hit one. It was the doozy. It was the main block in my life. And it was, I'm an inconvenience. And then when we dove into it, I could give all these stories of where that had been shown to me. 7 years old, in school, teachers, all sorts, over and over. And I mean, I probably gave her a good 20 examples of it. Like, it wasn't a small one. And she goes, all right, 7 years old, that subconscious formation, that could absolutely be it. And she goes, but can you go further? Like, when's the earliest that you can remember feeling that way? And I'm like, I don't know, in utero? And as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, uh-oh. My life is an inconvenience. True story. I was raised and born to a single mother who got pregnant with me. And I, to this day, do not know who my father was. There's two different stories as to what happened there, as to who the dad was. And because she was pregnant, her family came over to Vancouver where she was living, packed up her stuff for her, picked her up after her last shift at the restaurant she worked at, and brought her back to the island, took her away from the man that she loved, took her away from her friends, from her work, all those things. Choices. She made choices. She's fully self-responsible here. But I was an inconvenience. And it was very clear my whole life. And until I went into that and just sat with that grief and sat with that feeling, only then, because it wasn't true. It might have been true for her. That pregnancy and all the rest was her. It had nothing to do with me. And in that moment, all of a sudden, what I could also have was incredible empathy and compassion for this woman whose life went sideways. And and she never ever financially got back on her feet again. She never emotionally or mentally got back on her feet again. She always felt insecurity. She always felt unworthiness. So these are the things that we go through. But when we dig into them and we go into the emotion of it and just sit with that and we start recognizing, I am none of those things. I'm not an inconvenience. I am a beautiful spark incarnated into this earth. And every day that I am here, I make sure that my life matters. That I have a positive impact in this world. And just because I feel anxiety at times, and just because I feel scarcity or I have fear, doesn't change any of that. Because I'm not those things. They're things that I am experiencing. And once we start to recognize that, we take our power back. I don't have to have those experiences every moment of the day. They can come and they can go, and I can be present. And that's what I want for you. I want for you to have your power back. We're going to have moments where life, via our ego, via, the experience, we're like, I dislike this experience on earth right now. And that is okay. It's okay to dislike and stay present and still be there with yourself and glean all the wisdom. What's the opportunity? Not a spiritual bypass. What are you trying to show me right now? What's the opportunity? What could I strengthen? What am I not seeing? What am I not paying attention to? Show me the way. Show me the way. And we ask that of our higher self, and the answer is there. You're never alone. You are a beautiful, beautiful being incarnated into this earth to create and to experience creation. And that is what we are doing every day. There is no good and there is no bad. There's just the experience. And the more that we just allow, the more we soften and we surrender into the moment, the faster it flows. I hope this gave some value for you guys today. I'd love to hear how you feel about this. What comes up for you? Does it trigger something? There's something that arrives here? Let's talk about it. What comes up? I have a free masterclass that's coming up on Saturday to let you guys know about. I'll drop a post and a link in here for you guys as well. Going to be doing that free masterclass quarterly. So it's the alignment masterclass where we talk a bit through the laws of co-creation. How do we go from this states of misalignment? How can we use those laws to come back into alignment? First law, law of becoming. Creation is constant. You're always in the act of becoming. This is where we're at. All right, you guys. I hope you have an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Brightest of blessings.